The Broken Alliance. The crystalline spires of Station Zenith glowed with celebration. Inside the Grand Amphitheater, hundreds of species gathered to commemorate the Celestial Confederation's greatest triumph. Holographic banners floated above the crowd, displaying the victory against the Dominion Empire in shimmering light. Admiral Cara Thorne stood at the center of it all. Her silver uniform reflected the ambient light as she raised her ceremonial chalice. The human woman's presence commanded respect from every corner of the vast chamber. Years of diplomatic service had earned her this position, leading the most diverse fleet in galactic history. Around her, representatives from 57 worlds mingled. The insectoid Kretak clicked their mandibles in approval. The aquatic Valonians floated in their environmental suits, their tentacles swaying to unheard currents. Even the usually stoic crystalline Zephyrians pulsed with warm colors, their mineral bodies resonating with joy. The war had been brutal. 3 years of conflict against the Dominion Empire had tested every alliance, strained every resource, but they had prevailed. The tyrants who sought to enslave half the galaxy now faced justice in interstellar courts. Admiral Thorne's deep voice carried across the chamber. Today, we celebrate not just victory, but unity. We have proven that diversity is our greatest strength. Together, we. A sharp alarm cut through her speech. The celebration died instantly. Every military officer in the room reached for their communication devices. The festive lighting shifted to emergency amber. Lieutenant Chin, Thorne's aide, pushed through the crowd. His face was pale. Admiral, Priority 1 distress signal from Outpost Omega. They're under attack. Thorne's expression hardened. The Dominion remnants. Unknown, ma'am. The signal is fragmented. But it's not Dominion signatures. The Admiral's mind raced. Outpost Omega sat on the edge of known space, a research station studying ancient alien artifacts. Its location was classified, known only to the highest levels of the Confederation. "Patch it through to my command implant," she ordered. The message crackled with static, but the terror in the commander's voice was unmistakable. Completely surrounded, unknown configuration. They're cutting through our shields like paper, requesting immediate assistance. They're coming through the walls. The transmission died. Thorne turned to face the assembled dignitaries. The celebration was forgotten. I need all fleet commanders in the Strategic Command Center. Now. Within minutes, the leadership of the Confederation's military might gathered around the holographic display table. The three-dimensional map showed Outpost Omega as a pulsing red dot on the galactic rim. General Zix Theta, the Kretak military commander, spoke first. Outpost Omega is 12 hours away at maximum warp, even if we left immediately. They don't have 12 hours, interrupted Captain Velix of the Valonian Deep Fleet. The distress signal indicated imminent breach. Admiral Thorne studied the tactical display. We need to send our fastest ships. The new experimental frigates can make it in 6 hours. 6 ships against an unknown enemy. General Zix Theta's compound eyes glittered with concern. That's suicide. A new voice entered the conversation. Not if those ships aren't alone. Everyone turned to see Ambassador James Mitchell, Earth's representative, standing in the doorway. The older man's usually jovial demeanor was replaced by grim determination. "Ambassador," Thorne acknowledged, "this is a military matter." "Which is why I'm here," Mitchell interrupted. "Earth has assets in that sector." The room fell silent. Earth was a junior member of the Confederation, having joined only 5 years ago. Their military contributions had been modest. Patrol craft, supply ships, nothing that would matter in this crisis. General Zix Theta clicked dismissively. "With respect, Ambassador, this is not the time for. Our dreadnoughts can be there in 3 hours." The silence deepened. Several officers exchanged confused glances. Admiral Thorne leaned forward. "Ambassador, Earth's fleet registry shows no dreadnoughts. Your largest vessels are the Houston-class cruisers." Mitchell's smile held secrets. "Our public registry, Admiral." We've been busy. Captain Velix's translator gurgled with surprise. You've been building warships in secret. That violates 17 treaty provisions. No, Mitchell corrected. We've been preparing. There's a difference. Before anyone could respond, another alarm sounded. Lieutenant Chen's hands flew over his console. Admiral, we're receiving a new transmission. It's from human ships already en route to Outpost Omega. The main display flickered, then stabilized. A new face appeared, younger, wearing an unfamiliar uniform. The man's eyes held the warrior's intensity. This is Commander Marcus Reed of the Earth Defense Force vessel Prometheus. We intercepted the distress signal 40 minutes ago. ETA to Outpost Omega is 2 hours, 57 minutes. We're bringing the thunder. Admiral Thorne stared at the screen. Commander Reed, this is Admiral Thorne of the Confederation Fleet. What is your ship's classification and armament? Reed's smile was sharp. Classification: Titan-class Dreadnought. Armament: you'll see. We've got 7 sister ships with us. Permission to engage hostiles upon arrival. 7 Dreadnoughts, ships that shouldn't exist. Earth had somehow built a secret fleet of capital ships without anyone knowing. General Zix Theta's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Kretak equivalent of nervous laughter. Impossible. The resource allocation alone. We're human, Mitchell said simply. We find ways. Admiral Thorne made her decision. Commander Reed, you are authorized to engage. We'll dispatch our rapid response fleet to support you. ETA 6 hours. Understood, Admiral. Save us some of the party. Prometheus out. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. The celebration that had filled Station Zenith minutes ago seemed like a distant memory. The mysterious attack on Outpost Omega was concerning enough, but the revelation of Earth's hidden fleet raised even more questions. Admiral Thorne turned to Ambassador Mitchell. We'll discuss the treaty implications later. Right now, I need to know, what else has Earth been hiding? Mitchell's expression remained neutral. Nothing that threatens the Confederation, Admiral. Everything that protects it. As the Confederation's forces scrambled to respond, sensors detected 8 massive signatures jumping to hyperspace from Earth's outer system. Ships that had been hidden in the asteroid belt, disguised as mining stations and research facilities. The humans had learned the art of deception well. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's contribution to the Confederation went far beyond what anyone had imagined. The real question was whether they would arrive in time to save Outpost Omega, and what they would find when they got there. Shadows in the void. Commander Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching stars stretch into lines as the massive dreadnought tore through hyperspace. The ship hummed with barely contained power, its experimental drives pushing beyond anything the Confederation deemed possible. His executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Sarakoji, approached with a datapad. Sir, long-range sensors are picking up unusual energy signatures from Outpost Omega. They don't match anything in our databases. Reed studied the readings. The patterns were chaotic, almost organic. Analysis. Best guess. Some kind of phased matter technology. Whatever's attacking that station exists partially outside normal spacetime. Reed's jaw tightened. Humanity had encountered strange things since joining the galactic community, but this was different. The urgency in the distress call, the unknown nature of the enemy. It all pointed to something beyond conventional warfare. Time to target. 97 minutes, sir. Meanwhile, aboard the Confederation flagship Stellar Dawn, Admiral Thorne assembled her strike team. The sleek warships of multiple species formed up in perfect formation, their drives glowing as they pushed toward Outpost Omega. Admiral, reported Tactical Officer Drain, a 4-armed Altarian, we're detecting the human ships ahead of us. Their energy output is unprecedented. Thorne studied the sensor data. The Earth dreadnoughts were massive, each one dwarfing her own flagship, but it wasn't just their size. Their power signatures suggested weapons and defensive systems far beyond what humanity should possess. "Establish a tactical link with Commander Reed," she ordered. The connection established quickly. Reed's face appeared on the main screen, his expression focused but calm. "Admiral Thorne, we're reading massive subspace distortions around Outpost Omega. Whatever's attacking them, it's not from our dimension." Thorne frowned. "Explain." "The energy patterns suggest phase-shifted entities. They can move through solid matter. Ignore conventional shields. We've been developing countermeasures for theoretical threats like this." General Zix Theta, monitoring from his own command ship, interjected. "Theoretical threats? You mean you've been preparing for enemies that don't exist?" Reed's smile was grim. "Every enemy is theoretical until you meet them, General. Humans learned that lesson the hard way on Earth. We don't wait for threats to materialize. We prepare for possibilities." The conversation was interrupted by new sensor data. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled with tension. "Admiral, Outpost Omega's distress beacon just went silent." The bridge fell quiet. A station of 5,000 souls, possibly lost. "Increase speed," Thorne commanded. "All ships, battle stations." The Prometheus dropped out of hyperspace first, followed seconds later by its sister ships. The human Dreadnoughts emerged in perfect formation, their hulls rippling with active camouflage that made them difficult to target. The scene before them was worse than anticipated. Outpost Omega hung in space, its hull breached in dozens of places, but the damage patterns were wrong. Instead of blast marks or torpedo impacts, the station looked like it had been partially dissolved. And surrounding it were the shadows. They moved like living smoke, flowing around the station's remains. Sensor readings went haywire trying to lock onto them. They seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, phasing in and out of normal space. "Shadow Raiders," Commander Reed muttered. "We've theorized about entities like these, living beings from subspace, feeding on complex matter and energy." His tactical officer, Lieutenant Marcus Webb, looked up sharply. "Sir, they're moving toward us. Attack pattern suggests they view us as prey." Reed's voice carried across all human ships. "All vessels, activate dimensional anchors. Charge the reality stabilizers. Let's show these shadows what humans do to nightmares." The Earth Dreadnoughts transformed. Panels opened across their hulls, revealing arrays of exotic technology. Energy fields shimmered into existence around each ship. Not conventional shields, but something that made space itself more solid. The Shadow Raiders struck first. They flowed toward the human ships like a tide of darkness, expecting to phase through hull plating as they had done with the station. Instead, they hit the reality stabilizer fields and recoiled, their forms becoming visible for brief moments. Writhing masses of dark energy with too many angles. "Fire solution locked," reported the weapons officer. "Dimensional torpedoes ready." "All ships, fire." The human Dreadnoughts unleashed their arsenal. Not conventional weapons, but missiles that detonated in overlapping dimensions. Each explosion created a sphere of stabilized space-time, forcing the Shadow Raiders fully into normal space where they could be destroyed. Admiral Thorne's fleet dropped out of hyperspace just as the battle began in earnest. The Confederation officers stared in amazement as the human ships demonstrated capabilities no one knew they possessed. "By the Seven Suns," breathed Captain Velix, "they're forcing extra-dimensional entities into our reality and destroying them. The power requirements alone." Thorne watched as the Prometheus took point, its main gun charging with energies that made her sensors scream warnings. "All Confederation ships, support the human fleet. Target any shadows forced into normal space." The battle became a deadly dance. Human ships used their exotic weapons to expose the Shadow Raiders, while Confederation vessels poured conventional fire into any entity made vulnerable. The Shadows adapted quickly, learning to avoid the reality stabilizer fields, but the humans adapted faster. Commander Reed's voice cut through the chaos. "Admiral, were detecting a larger signature deeper in subspace. Something's controlling these entities. Before Thorn could respond, space itself tore open. A massive shadow emerged, dwarfing even the Dreadnoughts. This was no mere raider. This was a shadow leviathan, a creature of living darkness that existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously. All ships, concentrate fire on. Reed's command was cut short as the leviathan struck. Tentacles of pure shadow wrapped around 2 Confederation frigates, dissolving their hulls in seconds. The Prometheus moved forward, its experimental systems howling with strain. Reed's voice was calm despite the crisis. Deploying the hammer. The Dreadnought's bows split open, revealing a weapon that hurt to look at. A spear of crystallized reality itself. Energy coursed through the ship as every system diverted power to the exotic weapon. "Sir, dimensional stress is exceeding safety limits," warned Lieutenant Koji. "Hold her steady. We get one shot." The hammer fired. A beam of pure, concentrated reality lanced out, striking the shadow leviathan center mass. Where it hit, the creature's form solidified, became real in a way that defied its nature. All ships, fire everything. The combined fleet unleashed devastation. Hundreds of weapons focused on the exposed section of the Leviathan. The creature writhed, its death scream echoing across dimensions. Then it shattered. The explosion sent shockwaves through both normal space and subspace. The remaining Shadow Raiders fled, retreating to whatever dimension spawned them. In moments, the battlefield was clear. Silence reigned on every bridge. The impossible had been achieved. An enemy that shouldn't exist had been defeated by weapons that were supposedly theoretical. Admiral Thorn broke the silence. "Commander Reed, what exactly have you humans been preparing for?" Reed's image on the screen looked tired but satisfied. "Everything, Admiral. Humanity's history taught us that the universe is full of dangers we can't imagine. So we imagine them first, then build weapons to fight them." General Zix Theta's translator clicked with disbelief. "You built an entire secret fleet based on imaginary threats." "Not imaginary," Reed corrected. "Potential." Today proved the difference. Thorn surveyed the battle's aftermath. Outpost Omega was gone, but the threat had been stopped, and humanity had revealed capabilities that changed everything. "Commander, I believe we need to have a very long conversation about Earth's military development program." Reed nodded. "Ambassador Mitchell is authorized to discuss everything, Admiral. But first, we should check for survivors from the station. Our sensors show escape pods that managed to launch before the final breach." As rescue operations began, the 2 fleets worked side by side. But every alien officer looked at the human ships differently now. Earth wasn't just another member of the Confederation. They were something unprecedented. A species that prepared for nightmares and stood ready when they became real. The galaxy would never be the same.